Welcome, everybody, to the Event Professionals Network Meetup for September. We are so glad that you are here and joining us. In just a minute, we will get started and I will introduce our host, Nika. But before that, the Event Professionals Network is a free Slack community full of event professionals. Any day now, we will hit 900 members. We are excited to be able to support event professionals globally. And if you have an upcoming idea for a meetup or any program that would help the Event Professionals Network, let us know. We also have a mentorship program, which we ran this year and will run again next year. So now I would like to introduce our co-host, Nika. You want to say hi and tell the audience a little bit about you?
Yeah, definitely. Hi, everybody. Really glad to be here. As Lisa said, my name is Nika, and I'm the founder of Calmness Collective, where I focus on creating inclusive, accessible, and sustainable events, workplaces, and public spaces, as well as sensory-friendly spaces, and we call them calmness spaces, lots of spaces. My background is a little bit unusual. I started out as a social worker. That was what I graduated from. And then spent 7 years in a purely corporate environment as a project and program manager, mostly in IT. And then I transitioned to events and spent there now almost 12 years, mostly in events and music industry. And my specialty was event management and sustainability management of large-scale music events and festivals. This combination actually taught me to see both the logistics of events, but also the people behind the experience. And I'm also currently pursuing a PhD research on exactly the topic we are talking about today, neurodiversity and mental health impact in the events industry.
Wow.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
that's as short as I can put it.
No, that's awesome. Please give Nika a warm welcome. Yep, perfect with the emojis and then in the chat. And then Nika kind of gave us a little bit of a background and history on her. It would be great to hear from you guys on which verticals you guys are working in, whether it's high tech, healthcare, education. So if you want to drop that in there, it is sort of nice to know kind of where everybody is working in on their daily. And I know our team works in healthcare, tech, and universities. So first off, we're going to go ahead and set the tone for uh, this group. You guys are here because you believe in inclusivity. And so I want to applaud you for coming. It's a great first step to create inclusivity in your events for not only attendees, yourself, your vendors, etc. Um, Nika, we'd love to hear from you on could you define neurodiversity for us and share a moment that really drew you into this work and what you've experienced and why it matters so much in event strategy?
So basically, neurodiversity describes a natural variation in how human brains are wired. This is the shortest explanation possible. It includes autistic people, those with ADHD like myself, people with dyslexia, dyspraxia, sensory processing differences, and other neurological profiles. It's important to understand it's not a deficit model. It's a recognition that people think, sense, and process the world differently, simply put it. And those differences, of course, bring also needs, but also lots of strengths. And when talking about neurodiversity, I'd like to remind people that we're not talking about a small group of people, because it's estimated that around 1 out of 5 people currently have sensory or accessibility need at some point in life. And that's 20% of the population. And the number is rising. So this could be someone with autism, ADHD, or someone dealing with burnout, or even just someone sensitive to noise and lights. And it is true, it's really important for events. Why? Because events can trigger anxiety, can trigger sensory overload, can even trigger burnout. And for the topic that we're talking about today, it's very personal to me because I've seen it with my own eyes how it looks like when a team member experiences sensory overload and burnout during work, which happened to me, to my team, and to my stage manager at my festival. And I also saw the impact that COVID made to our industry. It's just the fact that I think one of the reasons why COVID had such a big impact is the fact that our industry is built mostly on freelancers. And for us, it was, I mean, at least in Europe, literally during one night, we lost everything. We lost our work, we lost our life mission, we lost our companies, teams, and complete safety net that we've had. And once we returned, nothing was the same. And I think we actually really never picked up. I mean, we did in a way, but I think that's still a lot of things missing and a lot of things changed. And my mission today is really what I want to do is to make sure that events don't just run smoothly, but that they run that include everyone involved. So this includes attendees, planners, vendors, but most importantly, crew that runs the event, and that the events are safe, supported, and that people are able to do their work at their best.
Yep. And it'd be great to hear from the audience on their perspective of COVID. So each vertical and industry has experienced something different. I know with festivals and concerts, that was like just not a
Yeah.
thing, right? Like just gone. Nobody was doing it. But in tech, we moved to virtual. And so there was some extra creativity, but also some cool ways of doing inclusivity that we didn't have access to before, right? And now we're moving back to in person. And so there's some things that people might not be able to have access to as much with it in person. So I'd be curious to hear everybody's thoughts on that. Um, and then also for what you guys are doing. So my recommendation, my top recommendation to make sure that inclusivity is included is to, I know this is so simple, but most people don't do it. Put it on your work back schedule as its own section. So you have marketing, you have food and beverage, AV, all the things that you're doing. Put inclusivity as a section in your work back schedule. Reason why is it is so easy to say, "Oh, check that off. It was a 30-minute conversation. We're going to do these quick things. Okay, great, it's done." But if it's constantly woven inclusivity in registration, inclusivity in your marketing, inclusivity on site, then it becomes a greater conversation of like, oh, guess what? You have even 10 people at your event. Two of those people are going to be experiencing this, right? How do you make those two people? If you had 10 people in the room, would you want two of your friends to be left out or feel like they weren't fully included? Especially if you're selling them a multi-million-dollar deal? Probably not. Now duplicate that to 1,000 people, right? And it becomes even more important. But whose responsibility is it to educate their team of this? Whose job is it?
So
Your job.
yeah.
It's your job. Okay, so as a leader, Nika and her company and what she's trying to do in her position is awesome. So if you're not following on her on LinkedIn, please do so now. Just Nika, actually, if you want to multitask or someone can and grab her LinkedIn, you're going to want to follow her. I believe deeply in the overall wellness of our whole being. And so feel free to follow me if you'd like as well, because I talk about it in a lot of different ways. But that's my number one tip and takeaway is make sure that it's in your work back schedule. How many people had this in your work back schedule before? Gina, killing it. Marissa, Juliet, great. Okay, I know we have a little line that says diversity. That's like we're going to have diverse speakers on stage, right? Everybody's used to that. Mother's nursing room, prayer rooms, you know, vegan, vegetarian meals. Nika, help us understand where it is more than a checklist.
Yeah, you're pretty right. I mean, when people hear inclusive event design, most of what comes to our mind is really a checklist: ramps, vegetarian options, large print signage. And of course, those are all very important. No, don't get me wrong. But I think that inclusivity isn't just about ticking the boxes, it's actually about shifting the mindset. And what I use as a definition with my work is designing for everyone from the very beginning. Instead of reacting when someone says, "Can you make this accessible for me?" We plan with the assumption that people will just have different needs and we need to accommodate them the best way we can. This, of course, includes physical, sensory, cultural, and even mental well-being needs. So it's a very broad spectrum. Um, and why it actually matters is because I think that when we do this, of course, we include everybody. More people can fully participate. And yeah, attendees don't need to spend extra energy just trying to get through the event. Teams feel way more supported. They are able to engage. They are feeling less burnout. And vendors know what's expected and can deliver without last minute stress, which is also very important. And what I definitely want to stress out is it's not about perfection. Don't try to be perfect. You will never get everything 100% right. Maybe you will, but maybe you also won't. It's not about that. The goal is really to remove as many barriers as possible so that people feel welcomed, included, and just able to engage in all parts.
Yep, perfect. Is this inspiring anyone? We actually have our first live audience right here that's listening in. And one of our live audience members right here, she actually gave me a example, a lovely example. So a lot of people are like, I just had this conversation with a client. My budget's getting cut, even like $500 here, $1,000 here. Just these things that I'm trying to do, inclusivity, and the leadership team doesn't fully understand the importance of it. So those are the first things to go. But Evie here, she said one thing, they had an event and everybody who brought swag was required to have some sort of fidget item on the swag. So for example, if it was like a notebook, it would have to have like a spinner on the front. Or if it was a pen, it had to have like things where you can push maybe that go up and down. So it's a little bit of a fidget as well. And guess what? That swag budget is already in your budget. It's just thinking of it a little bit differently, right? What are some other ways that people have woven in? Yeah, Gina, go ahead, unmute and come on.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gina. I own David Consulting business, which is very similar to what Nika does, sorry, if I mispronounced your name. So I do that for here in the States for diversity, accessibility, inclusion on the event and business side. And the biggest thing that I can't express enough for people, and that I often do for clients is walking through the venue and coming up with an emergency plan for those people that have disabilities, that are deaf, colorblind, that are, might have mobile issues, that might be at wheelchair bound or an electric scooter. Having that key piece is so important because I've been to lots of different events, a lot of different venues, and I've asked people, I'm like, so when you got your wheelchair from show management or from the venue, did they tell you how it works? Did they tell you where to go in case of an emergency evacuation in the building? Because they're not able-bodied. They can't just get up and evacuate like the able-bodied community can. So where is that designated space for them to go? Or people that might have sensory issues with all the lights and the sirens going off. Where do they go? And who is the designated person from that venue or from the event team that is going to be the point person that is going to be at that spot? And understanding that they are also, yes, taking a little bit of a risk of staying within the building with people during an emergency evacuation, but understanding that they're there to keep everybody calm and to be the liaison between being inside the venue and the emergency help. So to have that point person have an understanding of how many people in your audience or in your venue are there that might need those accommodations, having a spot and having a clear plan. God forbid if something happens, you need to be able to know how many people you've got, how many people you're accountable for, and to ensure that they are getting out of the building safely. Because if you don't know, then they don't know. They don't know how to safely get out of the building. They don't know if they're supposed to go to a certain meeting spot. So for me, that's one of my biggest things is making sure you have an emergency preparedness plan of action in place. So that should definitely be on your, your list for when you're planning or you're doing a site walkthrough, making sure, where's the
Yeah.
nearest accessible emergency, where's the wheelchair ramps. All of those things are very encompassing. Cause just like Nika said, there's, so many people that have visible and invisible disabilities,
Yeah.
so for,
They may have a panic attack from the sirens and the lights, and then that's a real thing. But panic attacks are a real thing, and my husband has seizures, and so the lights and stuff like we were just talking about this yesterday. When you go to Disneyland, which I've never done at an actual event, but when you go to Disneyland, they'll say really low, like, hey, this show has lights and sound and all the things. So if you have sensitivities to this, you should be careful of that. And I don't know why I never thought about it for our own events to do something like that. And even the emergency plans, we always have an emergency plan, but not to that extent, right? So that's a really good point. Nika, anything
Here, I
to
can
add?
give you a quick tip. Yeah, I just wanted to add something. Does anybody know what sunflower lanyards are? Those are basically identifiers that some people, because with our disabilities that we have, some people question, are you really disabled because you don't look like? But the truth is that sunflower lanyards are actually a globally recognized tool from the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Scheme. And basically what they allow us is to, basically you can offer them at a check-in or at the at registration desk, and basically the person wearing it is showing that they have a hidden disability, and they use it voluntarily signal they may need extra support or extra time or understanding everything in public spaces. So it's a great way to actually offer it to the audience. You can even include this in your pre-registration communication that you will be offering this on site, and then you know that the person carrying this kind of lanyard has is a hidden, invisible disability. So it's a great way to basically include it also.
Interesting. Has anybody else done that before? I've never heard of that.
yeah,
Yeah, I
we,
saw it. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah. Mm.
it's a UK thing that has not reached the US.
Mm.
We are light years behind the UK in regards to accessibility, inclusion, and all of that. So, but that is definitely a UK standard now. For me, I know that because I myself am deaf and neurodivergent. So, and with me, this being my business, I'm very well aware of the sunflower, but unfortunately, that has not gotten here to the States yet. So people don't understand that that's what that is.
Wow, amazing. No, I think that's great. I think there's a big group here and over 100 people that we're going to email afterwards. I put a link, Gina, in the chat. If that link makes sense to send out, um, we can put a little quote in the email that says, here's what this is, and even help people understand like we're apparently light years behind in the US, unfortunately, which is great. You guys are educating us, which I love. But yeah, okay, great. That makes sense. Okay, thank you, Nika. So we're talking big things of inclusivity. So usually again, back to the checklist mentality that so many of us are in the US is, oh, it has ADA accessible, right? We're good. But what does that actually mean? That means a checklist that somebody else created for us. So, and okay, Marissa's a Lego is a great brand example of this. Okay, great. Way to go, Lego. We'll support Lego. I want to pause here for a second. We only have 8 minutes left, and sometimes the best stories come out of what things like Gina said. Is there any other stories, including you, Nika, of like ways that you folded this in that have really made an impact for attendees? Because obviously that's what we're planning these events for, but then the people who are helping build and execute the events. Is there anything else that people would like to share?
I mean, I can definitely share building some kind of a quiet corner. I don't want to promote my calmness spaces. I would be really happy if there would be a lot of other companies doing same work as I'm doing, but really offering some kind of a quiet corner where you can actually remove yourself from this sensory overload, either loud music, lots of talking, just energies from various people, and just to distress a little bit, catch a breather. It's really proven to be an amazing thing, and it works really wonders. Of course, really a sensory room, it's even better, but even just a quiet corner that is not included within all the people in the middle of the event, it's already very beneficial. And also, one thing that is more for the event organizers that are more like conferences or summits or things like this, just make these mindful breaks between sessions. Don't rush people from one session to another, because it's really not proving to be beneficial. And I'm always advising organizers, just make these little small breaks between the session where people can actually go and decompress, catch, really just gather their thoughts. Don't go on your phone and check your Instagram. Just really take a moment for yourself. It really makes a difference.
Yeah. And Marissa, you had your mic off. Marissa
Yeah,
N.
I was just going to say, it's funny. I had to go through a whole accessibility training for a large event we did in June, and a lot of this stuff I didn't know yet. So to your point that we are a little bit behind the cuff here, but other things that we worked on, because like when you talk about ADA, you think mostly about ramps and things, but we took the training and it was like printed materials, something as simple as like Braille or raised text. So if like someone has a visual impairment, having a raised print of the map of your floor space so they can feel that ahead of time to kind of see where barriers might be. We also talked about making sure any of your pre-event comms let attendees know exactly what needs to happen, where they can go to check in for extra time or things that they might need. So like the sunflower lanyard. And we actually did for the event I worked on, we did a mobile sensory free room. So it was like an air conditioned vehicle that had a lot of those fidget things, the quieter, darker space, the calming, sensory in there. And in talking to some of the venues in Boston, it's something that they're now trying to add in various areas of like these live music spaces. So I think the conversation's starting to happen, but definitely needs to be more prevalent. And then lastly, we did little bags for people if they needed like noise canceling headphones, fidgets, the lanyard in there. So again, like if you can partner with someone like Nika, or you can just kind of purchase these things from Amazon, but it made a huge difference for people that used them and just thanked us for recognizing they needed a little extra more time to go through.
Yep. And then just including it in your communications, right? Like on your website, it's always like this speaker, these sessions, talk to so-and-so, reception, happy hour. What if it was also inclusivity of, this is a for you, right? We're doing these things for you. That might give them like a totally different awareness of you as a brand as well, and your ability to see outside the box and care for all. James, go for it. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. This is something I haven't heard before. I started my career at Perkins School for the Blind, so accessibility is kind of just part of how I think about events. And I'm very concerned about how people show up. So for people who have stress disorders or sensory processing disorders, one of the things I do is I include in, like know before you go, like image of the entrance to the building. I've been on Meetup since it started, and I remember one of the things that was always terrible is going somewhere you didn't know with people you didn't know, and you didn't know where you were supposed to be. So the most stressful moment was when you get there at the address and you don't know where you're going, and making sure that they have some sort of indication of that. And for something large, like I saw this at WEC, we come into this giant convention center, and check-in is halfway down and there are people around. including photos of what check-in looks like and what the people are wearing, so that people have sensory processing disorders are coming in and just trying to get where they need to go. It makes it a lot easier for them to immediately recognize where they're trying to be in like a 20,000 square foot building.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And thank you so much for that idea, because we have an event actually. They have to like go in, go up the escalators, keep walking down, walk down, go to the left, go to the right. And then there's stairs and all sorts of stuff. So thank you, thank you. That's
I did
awesome.
for one event where I'm at Harvard now, and we usually had it in one of our buildings, but it was not available, so we had to do a nearby hotel, and we were concerned students wouldn't be able to find it. We did a promo where we had someone walking from like a walk and talk from our building to it, and so it was meant as a subtle way to help them get there without communicating, we don't trust that you'll find this room.
That's amazing. I love that. Plus, I feel like I already know exactly where I'm going. And there's a lot of anxieties when you go to shows, especially if you're an introvert versus an extrovert. You already have that anxiety going anyway. So you know you need to be there because you want to learn and stay up with everything. But it's like, who's going to talk to me? I don't even know where I'm going. So if you know exactly where you're going, that'd be lovely. We are at time. So I want to say, Nika, thank you so much for bringing this topic to us. She actually brought it to us. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was lovely and too short for sure. I've
Yeah,
prepared
I
way
know.
more.
We can talk about this forever. And thank you, Dina and James and Marissa and all of the people that added onto the conversation. Our sincere thanks from the Event Professionals Network.